Now, there are some gifted veterans who can slice off hours of time on a playthrough of a video game by utilizing a staggering amount of skill and luck. However, the most effective way to win in a fraction of the time is usually by exploiting glitches. Most titles have tricks that allow players to skip entire sections or levels, shaving off a few minutes of gameplay or maybe an hour or two. But in other situations, it's possible to cut through 99% of the content. Of course, some of these unconventional techniques we're going to mention require an unrealistic level of skill, while others are surprisingly easy to pull off. I'm Jess from WhatCulture, and here are 10 video games beaten in minutes with insane glitches. Number 10. The Talos Principle. In Crow Team's first-person title, an AI android is tasked with navigating through puzzle-themed areas and collecting Tetris-shaped sigils. With 120 brain teasers to solve, the Talos Principle should keep the biggest puzzle advocates thoroughly enthralled for hours on end. Or tens of hours if you're me, who could not figure this one out. To help crack these tantalizing head scratches, the android is often assisted by machines called connectors and jammers. Even though these gizmos are designed to disable or alter turrets, bombs, and energy doors, they do have another use that was never intended by the developers. If the robotic protagonist faces the ground and places either device down while jumping, they'll be catapulted upward. By landing on a nearby wall, they're able to shortcut through the majority of the tests. By coming down to only nab the essential sigils, the android can reach the endpoint of each area in a heartbeat. Though there are a myriad of other glitches that involve clipping through walls, using the jammers and connectors to space hop around is essential when speedrunning. Although cheating shouldn't be condoned, it's hard to judge anyone for using this method, since players are regularly encouraged to think outside the box to progress, even though they might not have meant this far outside the box. Number 9. The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. Though it's debatable which Legend of Zelda title is the best, there was a time when A Link to the Past was deemed the franchise's top dog. The SNES classic is brimming with so many creative puzzles, gorgeous soundtracks, innovative dungeons, and epic bosses, it's sure to keep Zelda lovers entertained for many, many hours. Or if they play their cards right, this entry can come to a close in 5 minutes. By performing a simple set of maneuvers, Link can pull off the Go Anywhere glitch, which is exactly what it sounds like. Firstly, climb any ledge and jump off it. As Link is in midair, save and quit the game. After re-entering the save file, allow an enemy to hit Link. This action allows the Hylian warrior to drop beneath the area he was standing in, allowing him to make his way through otherwise inaccessible areas. If Link performs this feat in Hyrule Castle during the prologue, the pink-haired hero can move upwards, passing right by the final boss, which initiates the ending sequence. Despite the fact that game-breaking bugs like this tend to be fixed in later ports, the Go Anywhere glitch actually remains in the Wii, Wii U, and Switch versions of A Link to the Past. Number 8. Crash Bandicoot 2: Cortex Strikes Back. Crash Bandicoot 2: Cortex Strikes Back has a pretty straightforward setup. Basically, the titular hero starts in a hub area called the Warp Room, allowing him to access 5 different levels. After collecting the crystal in each level, the wacky marsupial squares off against a boss before being transported to the next Warp Room. After collecting each of the 25 crystals, all Crash has to do is defeat Neo Cortex in a jetpack race, for some reason, to finish the main campaign. Since Crash 2 should take a few hours to get through, fans should balk upon hearing that the world record for winning the game is under 12 minutes. After all, it sounds inconceivable for anybody to get through all 25 levels in such a brief amount of time. But what if Crash 2 could be beaten without completing every level? What if Crash 2 could be beaten by completing just one level? After entering the Snow Go level first, Crash should head towards the Arrow Crate and bounce on it over 200 times, as he normally would. After jumping onto an enemy, a strange glitch will occur, bestowing the box-bashing Bandicoot with the required 25 crystals. After finishing the level, Crash can bypass every single warp room after beating each boss, reaching the final boss in no time. Number 7. The Elder Scrolls IV: Oblivion. 3 minutes. That's how long it takes to complete the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, at least in theory. Now, such a claim sounds unfeasible to even the most skilled of players, since this Elder Scrolls installment should take 30 plus hours to complete. Hell, the tutorial alone takes at least 10 minutes. However, nobody should underestimate the ingenuity and tenacity of speedrunners. By quick saving while standing in certain locations, the unnamed protagonist may find themselves out of bounds after reloading their save file. By routinely utilizing this glitch from the beginning, players can wander to areas that are supposedly off limits. Since the final area, the Temple of the One, isn't located too far from the starting point, the climax can be reached extremely quickly. Now, the ending can only be triggered by a specific character called Martin, which I feel like we don't talk about this enough. It's a disappointingly ordinary name for an Elder Scrolls character. Anyway, since the hero cheated his way to the destination, Martin will be nowhere to be seen, seemingly soft-locking the player's progress. But by sleeping for a couple of hours, which takes a few seconds in real time, Martin inexplicably appears, allowing players to beat Oblivion 500 times faster than normal. Number 6. Two Worlds. Reality Pump's Two Worlds has our hero traversing across the medieval world of Antalor to save the people from a dark wizard called Gandahor. Like many open-world RPGs, players are expected to spend dozens of hours scouring through dungeons, completing side quests, spending skill points to boost their alchemy, and collecting all sorts of loot to assist in their adventure. Even though Gandahor can be confronted in Comorin Village during the prologue, the sinister sorcerer is way too powerful for our noble warrior to defeat for the time being. If Gandahor is attacked, he'll unleash a fireball on the hero, which should kill him in an instant. But if the projectile collides with one of the villagers, all the NPCs in the area will band together and begin wailing on the malicious magician. Once Gandahor's health bar has been depleted, the game will erroneously believe that the final boss has been vanquished, and thus play the ending. It may not be by the book, but considering the developers decided to insert the big bad in the opening sequence, they shouldn't have been surprised when somebody found a loophole to kill him. Number 5. Outlast. Outlast kicks off with freelance journalist Miles Upshur arriving at Mount Massive Asylum after receiving a tip-off about the staff's barbaric actions towards the patients. As Miles gazes at the ominous facility, he can't begin to imagine the nightmare he's about to endure. Luckily, there's a simple technique to skip 90% of the hellish experience. As soon as Miles pulls up in the car, he should walk through the door until he reaches the bushes on the right. By running and jumping at these bushes at a certain angle, Miles should be able to leap on top of them. If he jumps over the neighboring wall, he'll plummet into the abyss below, seemingly to his doom. But when the screen reloads, the news reporter will find himself in the subterranean laboratory, which serves as the game's third act. Though Miles will have to encounter a handful of creepy creatures, the credits will roll soon after. Outlast is considered relatively short already, since it takes about 4 hours to complete. But with this approach, the whole thing can be wrapped up in a matter of minutes, and way less jump scares. Number 4. Super Mario 64. Being a landmark title for 3D platformers, Super Mario 64 caught the attention of many speedrunners. Although there are 120 power stars to find, Mario only needs to nab 70 to reach the final stage. By playing perfectly and taking some shortcuts here and there, a pro gamer could kick Bowser's butt and rescue Princess Peach in under 2 hours. But by taking advantage of a few bugs, the gravity-defying plumber's adventure can be completed in 6 minutes without obtaining a single star. This feat sounds impossible to casual players since entire sections are sealed behind star doors, doors that can't be opened until a certain amount of stars are obtained. But there is a way around it. If Mario repeatedly performs a long jump at rapid speed while the control stick is held back, the overall sporting handyman will be hurled backwards, allowing him to clip through walls and barriers. If Mario performs this trick at a certain angle, he can pass through any star door, allowing him to obtain the keys needed to access the later stages of the castle. The final hurdle is the endless stairs. If Mario doesn't have 70 stars when he reaches the last star door, it'll lead the high-hopping Italian to a staircase that goes on forever. But if Mario performs the same long jump glitch, he'll shoot up the top of the stairs, allowing him to reach the last level with ease. Number 3. Spyro Enter the Dragonfly. Insomniac's original Spyro the Dragon trilogy was among the most accessible and fun platforming series back in the day. Sadly, Check 6 Studios' fourth outing, Spyro Enter the Dragonfly, was a total bust. This janky clunker had frame rate issues, bland gameplay, sound positioning problems, and excessive clipping glitches. Having said that, the clipping turned out to be a blessing in disguise, since it allowed players to skip most of the garbage gameplay. If players want to be over and done with this dud in the blink of an eye, they should head towards Ripto's portal straight from Spyro's starting point. Normally, this portal will not activate until the adorable dragon collects 90 magical dragonflies that are scattered across the game world. But by ground pounding the edge of the portal a couple of times, Spyro should drop down, allowing him to face off against the final boss, Ripto. If players perform this glitch and defeat Ripto fast enough, they can complete the main campaign in just over a minute. And considering how awful the game was, that probably still feels too long. Number 2. Sonic the Hedgehog. While discussing speedruns, it'd be unfair to forget about one of the most iconic speedsters in gaming, Sonic the Hedgehog. Debuting back in 1991, Sega's wisecracking mascot has been renowned for zooming around corkscrews and vertical loops at breakneck speed, leaving Dr. Robotnik's band of badniks in the dust. However, there's an interesting method to make Sonic dash even faster than normal in the original game. Sometimes Sonic can get stuck inside a wall, which is known as zipping. While he's zipped, the collision detection will be reversed, causing Sonic to move right at astronomical speed if left is pressed and vice versa. By holding left, Sonic should pass by every enemy, obstacle, and wall, allowing the sneaker-wearing rodent to reach the end of the level in seconds. This glitch is easiest to perform while Sonic is standing on the very edge of a rising platform beside a neighboring wall. However, easy is probably the wrong word here, since this technique requires frame-perfect timing. Although this glitch can't be exploited on every level, there's enough zipping opportunities to allow players to reach the end credits in 10 minutes or less. Number 1. House of Caravan. Like most walking simulators, House of Caravan is fairly easy to complete in a single sitting. Although casual gamers might be completing Rosebud's exploration title in about an hour, a veteran could sail through the whole thing in half that time. But by taking an unconventional approach, it's possible to complete it significantly faster. House of Caravan opens with a young boy called Lester waking up in a strange house shortly after being kidnapped. Though Lester is expected to navigate through the estate, solve puzzles, and locate keys to escape, he doesn't need to bother with any of that if he performs the chair rocket glitch. If Lester places a chair directly below him, it'll shoot him up in the air, and by chair rocketing in the first room, Lester can leap over the wall right beside the key needed to open the front door of the house. With precise timing and positioning, it's possible to finish House of the Caravan in 12 seconds. That's right, 12 seconds. Even though on the one hand, it would be deeply satisfying pulling off an effective speedrun like this, House of Caravan players might feel a bit bad since it allows them to cut through the entire game with just one simple trick. That's okay, you can play it again.